A father and his son go into the grocery store when they happen upon the condom aisle. The son asks his father why there are so many different boxes of condoms. The father replies, "Well, you see that 3-pack? That's for when you're in high school. You have 2 for Friday night and 1 for Saturday night." The son then asks his father, "What's the 6-pack for?" The father replies, "Well, that's for when you're in college. You have 2 for Friday night, 2 for Saturday night, and 2 for Sunday morning." Then the son asks his father what the 12-pack is for. The father replies, "Well, that's for when you're married. You have 1 for January, 1 for February, 1 for March." This 85-year-old couple, having been married almost 60 years, had died in a car crash. They had been in good health the last 10 years, mainly due to her interest in health food and exercise. When they reached the pearly gates, St. Peter took them to their mansion, which was decked out with a beautiful kitchen and master bath suite and jacuzzi. As they oh-hed and ah-hed, the old man asked Peter how much all this was going to cost. "It's free," Peter replied. "This is heaven." Next, they went out back to survey the championship golf course that the home backed up to. They would have golfing privileges every day, and each week, the course changed to a new one representing the great golf courses on Earth. The old man asked, "What are the green fees?" Peter's reply, "This is heaven. You play for free." Next, they went to the clubhouse and saw the lavish buffet lunch with the cuisines of the world laid out. "How much to eat?" asked the old man. "Don't you understand yet? This is heaven. It is free," Peter replied with some exasperation. "Well, where are the low-fat and low-cholesterol tables?" The old man asked timidly. Peter lectured, "That's the best part. You can eat as much as you like of whatever you like, and you never get fat and you never get sick. This is heaven." With that, the old man went into a fit of anger, throwing down his hat and stomping on it and shrieking wildly. Peter and his wife both tried to calm him down, asking him what was wrong. The old man looked at his wife and said, "This is all your fault. If it weren't for your blasted bran muffins, I could have been here 10 years ago." A woman was pregnant with triplets. While she was at the store one day, the place got robbed. The robber had a gun and shot the woman 3 times. The woman and all 3 babies, 2 girls and a boy, were okay, and she went on to have a healthy delivery. About 12 years later, one of her daughters came up to her and said, Mommy, guess what?" And the mom says, "What?" And the daughter says, "I peed out a bullet." And the mom is amazed. Later that day, the woman's other daughter comes up to her and says, Mommy, guess what?" And the mom says, "What?" And the daughter says, "I peed out a bullet." And the mom says, "Wow." Later that day, the woman's son comes up to her and says, Mommy, guess what?" And the mom says, "Let me guess, you peed out a bullet." And the son says, "No, I was jacking off and I shot the dog." A doctor had the reputation of helping couples increase the joy in their sex life, but always promised not to take a case if he felt he could not help them. The Browns came to see the doctor, and he gave them thorough physical exams, psychological exams, and various tests, and then concluded, "Yes, I'm happy to say that I believe I can help you. On your way home from my office, stop at the grocery store and buy some grapes and some donuts. Go home, take off your clothes, and you, sir, roll the grapes across the floor until you make a bullseye in your wife's love canal. Then, on hands and knees, you must crawl to her like a leopard and retrieve the grape using only your tongue." He continued, "Then next, madam, you must take the donuts and from across the room, toss them at your husband until you make a ringer around his love pole. Then, like a lioness, you must crawl to him and consume the donut." The couple went home and their sex life became more and more wonderful. They told their friends Mr. and Mrs. Green, that they should see the good doctor. The doctor greeted the Greens and said he would not take the case unless he felt that he could help them, so he conducted the physical exams and the same battery of tests. Then he told the Greens the bad news. "I cannot help you, so I will not take your money. I believe your sex life is as good as it will ever be. I cannot help." The Greens pleaded with him and said, "You helped our friends the Browns, now please, please help us. Okay, go to the store and buy some apples and a box of Cheerios." Jim and Edna were both patients in a mental hospital. One day, while they were walking past the hospital swimming pool, Jim suddenly jumped into the deep end. He sank to the bottom of the pool and stayed there. Edna promptly jumped in to save him. She swam to the bottom and pulled Jim out. When the hospital director became aware of Edna's heroic act, she immediately ordered that Edna be discharged from the hospital because she now considered Edna to be mentally stable. The director went to Edna and said, "I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that you're being discharged because you responded so rationally to a crisis by jumping in the pool to save the life of another patient. Your action displays sound-mindedness. The bad news is that Jim, the patient you saved, hung himself in the bathroom with his bathrobe belt right after you saved him." "I am so sorry, but he's dead," Edna replied. "He didn't hang himself. I put him there to dry. How soon can I go home?" I, the penis, hereby request a raise in salary for the following reasons. I do physical labor. I work at great depths. I plunge headfirst into everything I do. I do not get weekends off or public holidays. I work in a damp environment. I don't get paid overtime. I work in a dark workplace that has poor ventilation. I work in high temperatures. My work exposes me to contagious diseases. Dear Penis, after assessing your request and considering the arguments you have raised, the administration rejects your request for the following reasons. You do not work 8 hours straight. You fall asleep on the job after brief work period. You do not always follow the orders of the management team. You do not stay in your allocated position and often visit other areas. You do not take initiative. You need to be pressured and stimulated in order to start working. You leave the workplace rather messy at the end of your shift. You don't always observe necessary safety regulations, such as wearing the correct protective clothing. You'll retire well before reaching 65. You're unable to work double shifts. You sometimes leave your allocated position before you have completed the day's work. And if that were not all, you have been seen constantly entering and leaving the workplace carrying 2 suspicious-looking bags. My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.